Welcome to Your Visionary Podcast. This podcast is specifically for you and your vision. Get ready to grow. Let's go.
Life is in the detour, so every detour we experience, that's an opportunity to learn something.
You sell yourself. Doesn't matter if you're selling ice in Alaska or if you're selling sugarcane in Haiti. They're going to buy from you.
Man, all of this knowledge is in captivity when it should be out in the world. He couldn't believe that I had 25 years, but the way I carried myself, you'd have thought I had 25 days left.
We try to be something so great, and we forget that we're just being humans. We're human beings, and it's like we're enough right here.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Your Visionary Podcast. Today we have a very, very special interview. We have Greg McNeal, ex-millionaire drug dealer, now entrepreneur, store owner of a cafe in Kennesaw and a state-of-the-art gym. My guy, Greg, how you doing, boss?
I'm doing pretty good. How you doing?
Doing good, man. Thank you for coming on and just sharing your time with us today and your story. And you know how we started off. What's a quote that you live by?
The quote that I live by is, "As a man thinketh, so is he."
So is he, okay? And what does that mean to you?
Oftentimes, we get a lot of stuff that is perpetuated in the media and stuff like that. And once you gravitate to all of that stuff, sometimes if you don't have a strong mind, that can control how you think. So
yeah,
I live by that because I control how I think. I don't let the media control how I think.
All right, for sure. That's dope. And so I know you weren't always the man you are today. So just take us through your story, what led you here today.
Brief.
I mean, you can go deep. I mean, you could go deep, start from the beginning.
Well, originally I'm from Chicago, Illinois. I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with the violence and everything that goes on there. Yeah. Born and raised in the Henry Horner Projects. Outgrew that. We moved to the west side of Chicago. And during that time, I would like to say not only me, but my parents were exposed to a life of drugs. So me growing up with my siblings at the time, we saw that our home it went from being a nice home to working parents to like a drug spot. So it's like I saw that daily. So the self-preservation kicked in, whereas I had to do whatever I could do to, survive for me and my siblings. Yeah. So at that point, I decided to, turn to the streets. So.
Yeah, and turning to the streets, what did that lead to? Because I know some of it could be good in terms of the money and all, but when it comes to your spirit, it's really just draining, right?
Yeah, I would say so. What happened was, I say around 17 or 18, I was knee deep in the streets at the time, and ended up catching a case, going to jail, and I looked at it as a joke because I received like a 4-month boot camp sentence. So a lot of times people get that slap on the wrist and think that it's all good. You can get right back to doing what you were doing, but it's just a setup.
Yeah.
So I ended up being released from that, and then I went back to the same old thing.
Yeah, and I think you were in school at the time, right? Yeah.
Yes, I ended up. I was one of the top basketball players in the state. I went to an NAIA school, and it was crazy because the college didn't have a gym. The name of the college was East West University, and I actually had a gym built at a young age. So I had a 24-hour facility. I used to have R. Kelly and all the other NBA players come to my gym every night. So it was crazy. And my college team actually practiced at my gym. Yeah. So it was crazy at that age to have that much going on. It was a zoo, but like I said, with the good also came the bad, because now you have to watch out for kidnappers. You're constantly watching out for the police and wondering what's going to happen the next day. So it's like you're living day by day, and it's very stressful. So
yeah. And so at that time, would you say you had a lot of power at that time?
Yeah, I considered myself Barack Obama at that time.
As though it was like what type of things came with that power.
Like me, I didn't run my situation from a violent perspective because I always felt like when you add the violence, you can't make the money. So I tried to run a peaceful situation, and then you have like different gangs, but really like the area that I did my thing in, I wasn't even a part of that actual gang. So it just showed you the smarts that I ran my business with, which it was a business. If you can deal in the streets, you can definitely run your own real, positive business.
Right. Yeah, sure. I hear that a lot. I hear a lot of successful entrepreneurs now. They've been in prison. They were once, in the streets, and it's the same as entrepreneurship. If you out there selling a product, that's entrepreneurship. That's business. Yeah,
but it's a lot less stress.
Right, and risk. Right.
Yeah, and risk.
Yeah, but So back to your story when you got out from the boot camp, you ended up going back to the streets. Did you end up getting caught up again? Or
yeah. Well, what happened was I was introduced to an individual, and the individual had ties to Mexico, and from there it was next level for me. I didn't look back, but at the end of the day, like I said, I took care of a lot of people, so I didn't see the wrong in it because I helped so many people. So once the feds came knocking at the door, and then I got that opportunity, and it wasn't a by choice opportunity, but I was sat down and I was able to reflect on my shortcomings and the damage that I caused the community, and not just all the good I did. So when I look at it, I feel like how they say the good outweighed the bad. I feel like the bad outweighed the good because there could have been a kid or an individual that had promise and dreams, but by me being in a business, of selling drugs, it caused harm to a mother, uncle, aunt, whomever who couldn't fend for that child in the manner in which they could and couldn't help them flourish whatever dreams that they may have had.
Yeah, that's real. And do you think
the fact that you weren't looking at it from from
the bad
outweigh the good,
would you
say that
like a lack
of influences led you to
go down that
route, or what would you say?
I think although my parents ended up falling short and became victims of drug abuse, I did have good parents, but they weren't enforcing anything. So it was like I looked to the streets for that. And then like you said, it goes back to as a man thinketh, so is he. So I saw those drug dealers who came before me, and they were living a great life, and I just felt like I can live that life and perfect that way of living by doing it smarter than how they did it, and that's what I did.
Yeah, that's real. So when you were forced to take the time to really just reflect on all you've done, what type of things did you kind of lean on for growth? What type of things? Were you reading books, or were you just seeking mentors while you were in there?
I would say definitely books helped educate me, but the real people was the main thing. So we call them old heads in Chicago. So when you go to federal prison, you'll bump into a lot of people, a lot of successful people, a lot of people with just like filled with knowledge, and you sitting there like, man, all of this knowledge is in captivity when it should be out in the world, just giving the world what you have to offer. So like I said, my situation was complex because I received a 25-year sentence, and everybody thought it was over for me, but my faith never wavered. So receiving that 25-year sentence, I still went to college. I went to prison as if it was college. So I played ball everywhere I went. If you ever bump into anybody who know me from prison, I was like the Michael Jordan of the federal prison system. So I had NBA players. Chris Carr came in from Minnesota Timberwolves. Used to play against us like monthly, and he was trying to get me to be a part of their Christian ministry traveling team, and until he found out how much time I had left. he couldn't believe that I had 25 years. But the way I carried myself, you'd have thought I had 25 days left. Because like I said, I was so focused and I didn't let that define the man who I was.
That's real. What are some of the lessons that you learned while you were there that really helped you when you got out? Helped you really flourish until you are today.
Well, one of the lessons was patience. Because, like I said, I received a 25-year sentence, but I got my conviction overturned, sentence vacated on appeal. A lot of youngsters today, they'll get caught up in these situations and they're quick to take a plea agreement, and then they'll go sit down for all of these years. What I did was, I was patient. Like I said, I trust the process, and like I said, my faith never wavered, and then I was blessed to be, released from my situation the right way. So. Patience was one. Just really like applying, knowledge. So anything I was taught, I wouldn't go back on what I was taught. To my old ways. Standing firm and just trying to walk upright.
Yeah, that's real. And I know like a lot of my peers, they. Right now in college, especially, you get so much knowledge, but it's hard to figure out which one to apply. Which knowledge to apply, which knowledge to just walk past. And so I know it's tough to really just apply all the knowledge you're getting because not everybody's gonna have your best interests, and not everybody is gonna know what they're actually talking about. Right? You agree?
In a world where everybody knows what they're talking about.
Right. That's what we're living in right now. So I know it's tough. So talk about how you chose to pick and choose, which advice to really live by.
I would say how I did it was you can get pulled from so many different directions, but if you have a bad feeling about something, I say go with your trust that. Go with your hunch on that.
Yeah.
And then I would say don't spread yourself so thin. So surround yourself around positive people who doing positive things and really like on the path that you're on, because you can spread yourself thin by trying to, like, when I first was doing what I was doing, I wanted to be in the music business. I wanted to do this. I wanted to do that. It was like 30 things, but I wasn't nurturing that one or two things or three things that I'm not saying don't try to attain several streams of income, because I'm definitely about that. Yeah. But try to keep them under like a similar umbrella, so you're not spread it so thin, trying to do 1,000 things that don't correlate with anything you got going on.
Yeah, then you get burned out.
Yeah,
like that. You get burned out.
That's a fact.
Yeah. I know you mentioned you got your case taken away, but really go into what happened with that.
Okay, well, what happened was a lot of people don't understand when you catch these small drug cases, as you consider them, and you take this probation or this and that. So you may have had one case, never went to jail, end up with probation. But if you end up getting caught up in a federal situation, which guys don't think it can happen to them. I've watched it happen to 18, 19-year-olds who were the lowest man on the totem pole and may have had a probation on their background, end up with 20 years, because the feds have what's called an 851, where if you have any prior conviction, they can double your mandatory minimum. And a conspiracy carries 10 to life anyway. So if you're looking at 10 to life and then you had a probation that you took just because you just didn't feel like fighting the case or you just thought it was some garbage, they can double your mandatory minimums from 10 to life. 10 to 20 years to life. So I was caught up in a situation like that. Like I said, I only did 4 months boot camp and they turned me into John Gotti of America. So, like I said, I was fortunate enough to have my case go in front of the appellate courts, and my conviction was overturned and my sentence was vacated through Fourth Amendment violation, which is illegal search and seizure. What happened is a myth. It don't happen. Like, it's so many people that are fighting the same battles that I was blessed to to be released from, and they're not getting that relief. So when that happened to me, I knew that I was chosen. Yeah. And that's what brought me to Atlanta. I was chosen for service. Yeah. So that's what moved me to Georgia, because I know staying in Chicago with the big heart that I had, if I'd have saw my guys hurting or families hurting, there was a possibility that I could have ended back in those same trenches that got me in the position that I was in.
Right. And so when you got released, how long did it take you to actually move to leave Chicago? What was that process like?
It was maybe like 3 or 4 months tops, and then I just packed up. We drove down to Georgia, and I saw a space. Went back 2 weeks later. We moved. So it was like the city was in shock. They couldn't believe that I was just picked up and left like that. And then, like I said, I came down to Georgia, pride to the side, humble as can be. Like, man, I work at McDonald's. Don't nobody know me. And this a man who sat down and counted $1 million in cash at the table in the city. So it was like, I want to make $7 an hour. So I felt like I wanted to be continue to be a trendsetter, but let me trend in a positive manner. So I came down, worked at LA Fitness for a couple weeks. I worked 80 hours. They paid me $400. So that was the humble pie right there. That's when I knew, wait a minute, I'm doing all the work, creating all the programs, but y'all taking all the money. So that's what made me venture off and doing my own thing as far as personal training is concerned.
Yeah.
And that's what gave birth to Hybrid Impact Fitness.
Right. So talk more about that, the creation of Hybrid Fitness. So, you went 2 weeks at LA Fitness, you wasn't getting what you deserved, right? Mm-hmm. And so then I guess you took on the mindset, okay, this is not worth it. I need to do my own thing, or?
Well, what it was I've never worked for anybody. So It wasn't like even as a kid, like I said, when I was 19, 20, I had restaurants, beauty salons, condominiums. I had all of that stuff. So it was foreign to me. I've only had one job in my life besides going to LA Fitness and doing what I was doing. Other than that, I owned construction companies. All this at your age. Yeah. So it was like, whoa, it was a shell shock. But like I still, like I said, I knew that past life wasn't a life for me.
Yeah.
So I felt like in order for me to make it to that next level and to be a light to these guys who live in the darkness, I had to, you know what I'm saying? Take those body blows.
Yeah, I see it as like putting your ego to the side for real. And I think that's something that it's so hard to do right now in our times because it's like all in the media you just see ego. Like you're not even seeing like a real person. You're just seeing their ego. Like even with the president, it's like all you see is this guy's ego, right?
No, it's true. It's true.
Yeah, he supposedly got the most highest position in the world, and it's just like, we gonna get into that, but we just talking about the ego and just talk about what it took for you to really put your ego to the side, especially coming from where you came from.
Like I said, it was just humbling myself basically. Mm-hmm. So I knew I had to start from the ground up. Yeah. So I met a guy who became my actual partner of Hybrid Impact Fitness. Mm-hmm. Happened to share the same name as me, Greg. Oh wow! So it's crazy, and he was working. He had been a manager over there for like 2-3 years.
At LA Fitness.
Yeah, at LA Fitness. Okay. So I went and saw a space and this was me another me using my sharpness. I found a space that hadn't been leased in 3 to 4 years because I knew that the owner would be willing to lease it at at a discounted rate or do something that help out the situation. Right. So he loved the vision. And he ended up building a space out for us. Yeah. Me and Greg had one client apiece, and we ended up outgrowing the space within 8 months. Yeah. So you can't tell. And I knew nobody in Georgia. I didn't have any friends or anybody like that I could lean on to help me get to where I was going. But I knew I was going somewhere. Right. So it was like I felt like I still had the city on my back, but in a different light. Yeah. So it was like if I fold, it's like I'm letting everybody down again, but in a different way.
Yeah, so you kind of have like a chip on your shoulder, like the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah,
that's real. Did you always know? Like what? I put it like this: how early did you know that fitness would be such a big part of your life?
I didn't always know. I think it was partially while incarcerated. I began to exercise because when I was young, I was 5'2". I wore 100 pounds, so I was a slim guy. Even playing basketball, I was slim like that. So I put on mass just to sell a service, which was the personal training, because I feel like if you're gonna be in that profession, you at least want to look the part. Because a lot of times, and there's no knock to people that don't look the part, but me, I feel like I would like if I'm training someone, I want them to get a vision of, hey, either I want to look like him or I know this guy knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, that makes sense for sure. For sure. And so after you got the space with Greg, it began to grow, right?
Right.
So what came after that first space?
We outgrew it, and then we moved to a space on Old 41 Highway. It was directly across the street from Northcott High School, and we actually stayed there for 5 years, made a lot of relationships, and in the process of that, I birthed what's called Hybrid Fit Food Today, which is an all healthy eating restaurant, because a lot of my clients, they would train hard, but they wouldn't eat properly. So I felt like Hybrid Fit Food would give them an opportunity to change their eating habits, which goes hand in hand with the fitness. So that gave birth to Hybrid Fit Food, and a year after that gave birth to the second Hybrid Fit Food, which was located in Champaign, Illinois, which is where I'm from.
That's dope. That's dope. I know a lot of my
listeners. That's on the campus of U of I.
Okay. Yeah. Dope. Yeah, a lot of my listeners, they're students at KSU. So how can they find your restaurant?
You can Google All Healthy Foods, maybe in Kennesaw, or Yelp. We got great reviews on there. We're located at 3415 Old 41 Highway, Kennesaw, Georgia 30144. It's in the Blue Springs station. And the gym is located at 1900 Cobb International Boulevard, Suite 6.
Dope. So make sure y'all check that out. I know the food is great. Relationships great. And how did you really build your clientele? Because like you said, you came here with nothing, and now you in a huge warehouse. How'd you build them?
We basically call it guerrilla marketing. So we'll hit the streets. We have our flyers in hand. We would go to so many different supermarkets. We would get put out of places. We just made sure we just kept plastering flyers everywhere, and then the other thing became the actual work. So when you start to see clients getting these results, and you start to see young athletes dunking and being more explosive and running faster, people are going to start asking questions. Mm-hmm. And then when those questions were starting to get asked, it was always hybrid impact being brought up. So that's how, and it's really thrived through that. So there's no special recipe to it.
So y'all went the old-fashioned way, because I feel like a lot of millennials, they think the flyers don't work. Flyers and business cards don't work.
Oh no, they work. I mean, I love the fact that social media is a great outlet. All those are great tools, but it also can make you lazy. So me, I like to get back to the essence of it, like everybody, the real grind, because you feel like, man, we went out and passed out 1,000 flyers today. Mm-hmm. We got 5 phone calls. It paid for the flyers.
That's right.
That's it. I'm not mad.
Yeah, and it's more personal too. Like on social media, it takes away that personal connection. When you have a flyer, you look at somebody in their eyes.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, you can really, sell them on it, and then they'll see the passion that you have in your craft.
Right. Yeah. So it takes a lot of resilience.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's dope. And so, talk about what type of stuff you have at your restaurant. So what sets you apart from other locations, other restaurants?
Well, what sets me apart is I don't have any beef or pork in the location at all. Moving to a lot of vegan options. I don't use like a hamburger bun. I use 100-calorie wheat thin bread. And as far as the smoothies, no sugar added. So we just use fresh fruit for all of the smoothies, stuff like that. So like I said, it's a great experience. You don't have to worry about the calorie counting, because I count all that for you. You know what I'm saying? I do. I'm an herbalist as well, so I got all natural herbs on site. So
that's dope. Cool. And so we want to get you with one last question. If you could give any type of advice to your 21-year-old self, what would it be and why?
It would be don't fall victim to what you see or what's perpetuated in the media, because a lot of times our youth get caught up in, they see this rapper, they see this entertainer, and they see this and they see that, and they chase a facade. They chase something that's an illusion. It's not really there. So my thing would be become the greatest you that you can be. You're your only competition, as my brother said. So you know what I'm saying? Just really apply your knowledge, take your path, and never fold. And reach your goals. Don't try to be like the next man. And I think you can go far with that.
Yeah, that's real. That's dope. Well, yeah, man, I appreciate you for coming, and just talking about gratitude. I call this our positive affirmation bracelet. You know, and on it says "Dream big." Yeah, and it's a gift for me to you just for sharing your time and your story with us, man.
I appreciate it.
We appreciate it. Yeah, no problem. So yeah, make sure you guys reach out and go check out his gym, check out his restaurants, and can we find you on social media? Facebook, Instagram.
I'm on Instagram at Hybrid Money 23 and on Facebook Government Greg McNeal.
Yeah, there it is. All right, y'all. We'll see you guys on the next episode. Be safe. Take it easy. And so this part of the episode is what I call the Visionary Minute, where I debrief what I learned from the previous show. And so I'm going to go over 5 things that I learned from the interview with Greg McNeal. The first one was, if a man is not strong mentally, he will let the media control what he thinks. You know, you have to be sure of who you are because there are so many influences out there. You know what I'm saying? If you're not for sure with who you are, it's easy to get caught up in something that you're not. Right? Number 2, real people are the best way to grow. You know, this is all about relationships. You know, relationships are going to be your greatest resource always. Number 3, do not let your situation define you. You know, he was talking about how he had a 25-year deal, like 25-year bid or whatever. So he still had good faith. He wasn't defined by how much time he had, and it worked out in his favor. You know. Number 4, go with your gut feeling. I went over this before. You know, your intuition is always right. You know, go with your intuition. Go with your gut feeling. And number 5, do not cut yourself thin. Keep your goals under the same umbrella. You know, I feel like this is super important because in a world with so many creatives, you know, people get kind of lost up in too many different things, you know, and they kind of get burnt out. And so you can have different ventures, but try to keep them under the same umbrella. Make sure you're intentional about your purpose. And there it is.